One word to describe when Giuliani came from the jail into the street here was chaotic.
Former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, did just leave the courthouse. These voters are familiar with Nikki Haley. They saw her for close to 2 terms before she stepped away to become the U.S. UN ambassador.
I talked with Senator Warnock earlier, and he said, candidly, he still could lose to his challenger, Herschel Walker, tonight.
The Republicans and Congressman Jordan need 17 votes for him to become the next House Speaker. Leaders in South Carolina specifically have been very vocal today about their support for Israel.
1 percentage point separated Walker and Warnock in November. That's why he's really putting out that plea to voters.
I know the topic of abortion was a big one in Miami, but I will note when Nikki Haley was campaigning here in South Carolina, she didn't even touch the topic.
Greg, that's right. With Georgia having one of the nation's strictest abortion laws, Vice President Harris took time to talk about what she and President Joe Biden have been doing to protect women's rights. On Monday, Vice President Kamala Harris made a stop in the coastal empire. Here is her getting off the plane, being greeted by Savannah Mayor Van Johnson. During her invite-only rally, she touted what she and President Biden have been doing for women's rights.
Joe Biden and I are fighting in court to protect women's access to medication and emergency care. We are strengthening patient privacy protections so that medical records stay between a woman and her doctor, and we are protecting the right of women to travel.
The rally wasn't without any hiccups. A pro-Palestine protester interrupted the vice president during her speech. It also wasn't without a response from the Republican National Committee. Chairwoman Rachel Lee tells WJCL, quote, today Kamala Harris should answer if there is any abortion restriction the Biden-Harris administration supports. Voters deserve to know. Being in Georgia, Vice President Harris did focus on the state's strict abortion law.
And in Georgia, because of the way the law is written, no exception for rape or incest unless they file a police report to get permission.
I will note that the vice president also took time to call out former President Donald Trump for bragging about restricting access to abortion. She left the Civic Center around 1:45, was back on her plane at 3 o'clock, and she is now back in Washington, D.C. for the night. So a short and sweet trip to the hostess city. Greg.
I'm here at the Fulton County Courthouse where, as you can see behind me, there is still a very heavy police presence. Now 1 day after former President Donald Trump was indicted for a 4th time.
It's exciting for the city, and I know it's a bit traumatic also for the city and for the country.
Atlanta resident John Smith was out taking pictures of this scene on Monday.
I'm glad to see justice taking its course wherever it leads. If he's not guilty and they all are not guilty, then acquit them for sure.
Georgia Republican Governor Brian Kemp and former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan both speaking out over X, formerly known as Twitter, about the indictment. Kemp responding to a post by the former president saying, in part, the 2020 election in Georgia was not stolen. I spoke with ABC News reporter Olivia Rubin, who says she was in the courtroom for all 17 hours Monday.
What we could really feel inside of that courtroom was a sense of urgency. And I think that was very obvious by the fact that they were able to sort of deliver this entire indictment and this entire presentation in a single extended day.
We know Trump has to turn himself in now by the 25th.
Yes.
What do we think is going to happen?
Well, I think we have 2 weeks where we're going to start to see 19 defendants go in. They have to get processed. They have to go before a judge. And we heard this sheriff say, essentially, if you're coming in, you're getting a mugshot. We're not giving anyone special treatment. So I think the only one that could really get special treatment here, of course, is Donald Trump, because he is a Secret Service protectee, and it's a lot more difficult to move him.
Meaning the barricades could be here to stay for a couple more weeks.
We're kind of used to this kind of stuff.
Monday marked the end of a more than 2.5-year investigation into the former president's interference in the 2020 election here in Georgia. Now we know District Attorney Fani Willis has requested a trial date be set in the next 6 months. Reporting in Atlanta, Olivia Wile, WJCL 22 News.